I don't know when the lights started staying on. It must have been a gradual thing. At first, maybe I didn't notice. One night they were still glowing at 10 p.m., but I thought he must have fallen asleep watching TV. Another night, they were on at 2 a.m. That was odd, but still, I didn't think much of it. We all have off nights. Then it became constant. Every window in Mr. Parsons' house glowed all night, every night. Bedroom, living room, even the garage. Bright, sterile light like hospital fluorescence. No flickering, no dimming, just unwavering, unnatural illumination. And here's the thing. Mr. Parson died last year. I was at the funeral. I saw his casket lowered into the ground. We weren't close neighbors, but I knew him. He lived next to me for over 20 years. Retired mailman. Liked Sudoku and black coffee. No wife. No kids. He always waved when I came home from work. Sometimes we'd talk about the weather or complain about trash pickup delays. He was ordinary. Unremarkable in the best possible way. And now he was dead. Gone. So why were the lights still on in his house? I stood at my own kitchen sink that first real night I noticed, around 3:12 a.m. The insomnia had been creeping back. I was drinking tap water, staring out the window like I always did, when something about the glow finally clicked in my brain. It wasn't just that the lights were on. It was that they were wrong. Too bright. Too white. Like LED lights cranked to the highest possible setting. They cast long, hard shadows against the curtain edges. Nothing inside moved, but somehow the house felt alert, like it was watching back. I thought maybe someone had bought it. Maybe some real estate agency flipped it fast and didn't bother to notify the HOA. So the next morning, I checked online. Nothing. No sale record. No rental posting. No change in deed. The house was still listed as belonging to the estate of Albert Parson. Vacant. Unoccupied. Pending probate. I refreshed the page 3 times. Still nothing. That day, I called Diane, the lady who used to bring Parson meals on Sundays. Has anyone been living in his house? I asked. She paused. No. Why? His lights are on. Another pause. I noticed that too, I think, she said. Figured it was some automatic system. But, yeah, it is strange. Too strange, I said. That evening, I walked across the lawn and rang the bell. The doorbell chimed. The house remained silent. I knocked, called out, looked into the window. Nothing moved inside. The living room was bare. Dusty. Furniture still in place, but covered with white sheets like a ghost show. The TV was off. No sign of anyone living there. Except the lights. Bright as ever. I left, unsettled. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept peeking through the blinds. 11 p.m., 1:17 a.m., 4:30 a.m., same thing. Glowing white windows, unblinking and sterile. My room felt colder than usual. And then something new happened. At exactly 3:33 a.m., one of the lights turned off. Just one. Upstairs. The far left window. I sat up in bed, heart pounding. Then it turned back on. That was when I knew something was inside. Something that didn't want to be seen. Or worse, something that wanted me to notice. The next night, I stayed up on purpose. I brewed a full pot of coffee around midnight and sat in the dark living room, blinds half open, eyes fixed on the glowing house across the lawn. My phone stayed on the table. No music. No distractions. Just silence in that house. At 3:33 a.m. exactly, again, the same upstairs window blinked off. Then back on. Just like the night before. The motion was mechanical, deliberate, almost like a signal. My scalp prickled. I suddenly hated every creak in my own house, every twitch in the shadows. But curiosity kept me pinned. The next day, I called the city utility department. Pretended I was interested in buying the place. Asked if the electricity was still active. They told me the power had been disconnected 2 months after Mr. Parson died. Disconnected. I asked them to check again. They confirmed it. No electric account at that address. So how were the lights on? I drove to the hardware store and bought a pair of binoculars. That evening, as dusk settled and the unnatural light in Parsons' house flared to life again, I took position at my second-story bedroom window and waited. The view was clear. I could see directly into the living room and part of the staircase. Through the glass, something moved. At first, I thought it was just the reflection of trees swaying. But then I saw a shape, a figure. It stood just inside the hallway arch, in the gap between two covered furniture pieces. Still, upright, human-shaped. I focused the binoculars. It looked like a man, pale, tall, dressed in something too dark to distinguish from the shadows. He didn't move. He didn't blink. He just watched the window. Not mine, his, as if he was expecting someone. I nearly dropped the binoculars, because Mr. Parson didn't have any living relatives. I'd gone to the funeral. I knew this house had been empty for a year. I knew what I was seeing wasn't normal, and yet I couldn't prove anything. So I called the police. I told them I thought someone had broken into the old house. I didn't mention the lights or the timing or the figure, just that I saw a silhouette in the upstairs hallway. An officer came out the next morning. Daylight. The house looked normal again. Lights off. Quiet. He did a full perimeter check and even knocked on the door. He radioed back. No signs of forced entry. Nothing suspicious. House secure. Case closed. But that night, the lights came on again. All of them. And the window blinked off and on at 3:33 a.m. again. I stopped sleeping. I started keeping notes. Times. Weather. Pattern of lights. Shadows that moved across windows even though no one was inside. Whispers I thought I heard while walking past the hedges between our houses. And then I made the mistake of stepping onto Parsons' porch. It was 2:45 a.m. I told myself I'd just go up, just peek in again, maybe take a photo for proof. I crept across the dew-damp grass, up the 3 steps, and stood in front of the door. The porch light above flickered once, then turned off. I froze. From inside, I heard the soft scrape of footsteps. Then something approached the door from the other side. No knob turned, but the door breathed. It flexed forward, just a hair. Then again, as if something on the other side was leaning against it. Listening, pressing, smelling. I turned and ran. Back to my house. Slammed the door. Locked it. I stood there, panting, waiting to hear if it followed. Nothing. But when I looked back through the blinds, all the lights in the house next door were off. Pitch black. Except one. The window in my bedroom. Still glowing. I didn't go into my bedroom that night. I slept, if you can call it that, on the couch, one eye open, wrapped in 2 blankets with the TV playing static just loud enough to mask any distant creaks or whispers. But I kept thinking about that light. That one window upstairs that had no reason to be lit in my own house. The next morning, I went up there. The room was empty. Still, the overhead light switch was off. No glow. Nothing unusual, other than the faintest scent, like old books and bleach. I checked the bulb, the wiring, even flipped the breaker. All normal. But something felt different in that room. The air was heavier. And then I noticed the dust. Or rather, the lack of it. Everywhere else upstairs had a thin layer of settled dust. But the corner nearest the window was clean. A perfect semicircle, as if someone had stood there, watching. I moved out of that bedroom that day. I told my coworkers I was sick. Took a few days off. Tried to sleep in the guest room downstairs, but every night at 3:33 a.m., I woke up, and the lights were always on next door. One morning, after another restless night, I found something on my porch. A folded piece of paper. No envelope. No name. Just one sentence written in thin, sharp lettering. It likes when you watch. I nearly dropped it. I scanned the street. No one. No movement. Just the wind rustling through the trees like a whisper I couldn't understand. I considered calling the cops again. But what would I even say? Hey, the ghost next door left me a fan letter? That evening, I tried something desperate. I set up a camera in my bedroom window pointing directly at the Parson house. Motion activated. Infrared. I even put fresh batteries in the smoke detector just to feel some control. That night, I forced myself to sleep around 11. When I checked the footage the next morning, there was only one clip. It was triggered at 3:33 a.m. The camera had recorded exactly 6 seconds. In the grainy night vision frame, the light in the upstairs window was blindingly bright. Then a shape appeared. It wasn't a person. Not exactly. It was tall, thin, and wrong. Its head nearly scraped the ceiling. Its arms hung too low. The skin, or whatever passed for skin, seemed to flicker, like it couldn't hold still. But what chilled me most was the face, because it didn't have one. Just light. A flat plane of white glow where a face should be. Like the glow itself was watching. Then it lifted one arm and pointed directly at the camera. The clip ended. My hands were shaking. I yanked the SD card, smashed the camera, and threw the pieces in the trash. I didn't care about proof anymore. I just wanted this to stop. But it didn't. That night, the lights across the lawn blinked in a pattern, on and off, like Morse code. I didn't know what it meant, but I couldn't look away. And that's when I saw it. The glowing shape was in the yard now. Not in the house. Closer. Just standing by the hedges between our homes. Tall and wrong and humming faintly like a dying radio. The glow from its faceless head was brighter than the rest of its body, and it was still pointing at me. I closed the blinds. I turned off every light in my house. I sat in the bathtub with a knife, like that would help. At 3:33 a.m., the power went out. Not just my house. The entire block, except for the Parson house, still fully lit. The next day, I packed a bag. I told myself I'd leave for the weekend, just 2 nights away. Maybe to a motel or even my brother's place in Ohio. Anywhere but here. But when I tried to start the car, it wouldn't turn over. Battery was new. Gas tank half full. No reason it shouldn't work. Except the dashboard screen flickered once, then glowed bright white. Same sterile, impossible glow I now feared more than death. And from the speaker, a sound like static tried to form a whisper. I slammed the door and backed away. I walked back into the house, locked every door, and screamed into a pillow until my voice cracked. I was trapped. That night, I decided to try something reckless. I walked over to the Parson house again. Not at night, but at noon. Broad daylight. Birds chirping. Neighbors mowing lawns. Nothing felt haunted at 12 p.m. Except the air still smelled like bleach near his front porch. Like the house was trying to clean itself of something it couldn't forget. I didn't knock this time. The front door was already cracked open. Inside, it was silent. Dust floated through frozen light beams from windows that looked like they'd never been touched. But the electricity was still off. I checked the fuse box in the hallway. Dead. Cut. Yet the lights above me buzzed softly. Dimmer than before, but glowing. I walked up the stairs. Each step felt like my ears were filling with cotton. Pressure grew behind my eyes. A deep hum throbbed in my chest. The upstairs hallway was lined with mirrors. I don't remember those being there. And in each mirror, I didn't look quite like myself. I looked tired, pale, slightly warped, like my reflection had gotten a few steps ahead of me and no longer cared to keep up the act. At the end of the hallway was Parsons' old study. The door was closed. When I touched the doorknob, it felt warm. Not hot, warm, like it had been held just moments before. Inside, the room was bare. Only a chair facing the window, and written on the wall, in something that shimmered faintly like oil. It comes for those who watch. I turned and ran. All the lights in the hallway blinked off as I passed. That night, I stayed in the basement. No windows. No light. I sat in the far corner with a flashlight, trying to ignore the quiet hum vibrating through the floorboards above me. At 3:33 a.m., the flashlight died. But something else turned on. The old basement TV, plugged in but unused for years, flickered to life. On the screen, static. Then a pause. Then an image. Me, standing in the upstairs hallway of Parsons' house. Frozen. Staring at the mirrors. Except it wasn't what I saw earlier. In the footage, something stood behind me. It tall, head glowing, arms stretched around my shoulder like a father posing for a photo. Then a voice, not quite a voice, but the memory of a voice spoke from the TV. You opened the door. You watched too long. Now you're seen. I unplugged the TV and threw it across the room. That night, I didn't sleep at all. In the morning, I found a new note on my kitchen table. This time, it wasn't handwritten. It was typed with perfect spacing. Clean. Cold. His name is Heaven. He was never human. He needed a house. You gave him yours. I didn't leave the house that day. Couldn't. Every time I approached the front door, the air changed. The metal knob was too cold, like it had been dipped in ice water. And behind it, I could feel him. Heaven. Waiting. Watching. I taped black trash bags over every window, turned off all breakers, unplugged every appliance, removed every mirror, anything that reflected, anything that glowed, anything that could be used. But none of it mattered, because when the sun set, my walls began to glow. Not light fixtures, not lamps, the actual drywall. It started faint, like phosphorescence from deep ocean creatures, then stronger. And then I saw shapes moving inside the light, as if the walls were becoming transparent and something just beyond them was pressing in. I ran upstairs and grabbed the old camcorder from my dad's belongings. Not digital, no Wi-Fi, battery-powered. Safe, or so I hoped. I filmed everything. The hallway light bleeding through sealed bulbs. My phone turning on by itself, white screen flashing like it was gasping. My own shadow moving without me. Then I heard footsteps above me. In the attic. I never go in the attic. But something was pacing. Deliberate. Slow. Heel, toe. Heel, toe. I turned the camcorder off and gripped it tight like it was a weapon. The steps stopped. Then, a single knock. From inside the ceiling. I screamed. No words. Just sound. Raw. Feral. Human fear. The knock came again. Then again. Then it spread. Now knocks were coming from every wall in the house. One by one. A rhythm. Like a heart. Like breathing. The glow brightened. Pure white now. Hospital white. Holy white. And then I heard the voice. From inside my head. You lived beside me. You saw me sleep. You stared too long. Now I wake. I collapsed to my knees. The house felt like it was breathing. The floor moved like lungs, rising and falling. The air pressed against me from all sides. Then, silence. Everything stopped. No knocks. No light. No sound. I stood up, trembling. The door to the attic was open. I didn't open it. Inside, there was no ladder. No beams. No insulation. Just one thing. A chair. Facing the small round attic window. And in the window's reflection, I saw myself. Only not myself. The figure was me. But taller. Thinner. Empty-eyed. And glowing white behind the skin like paper stretched over a bulb. The reflection raised a hand and waved. I screamed. I turned. Ran. Grabbed my car keys. Didn't care if the car started or not. I would run if I had to. But the house had no door anymore. Just light. Blinding. All-consuming light. I don't remember getting out. But I woke up in a hospital 3 days later. Dehydrated. Confused. No burns. No injuries. Just blank. They said I'd been found wandering on the edge of a highway, babbling about the man in the lights. They assumed a psychotic episode. My house. Gone. Burned to the ground. The official report says faulty wiring. Electrical surge. Nothing survived. No structure. No traces. But I know what I saw. And every night since I've been discharged, I've felt it again. The glow. Sometimes in the corner of my room. Sometimes reflected in my phone screen before it shuts off. Always at 3:33 a.m. And I know now what the final note meant. You gave him yours. Not just my house. My life. Because I was the neighbor who watched. And now someone else watches through me.